Word out today that Ted Cruz has asked his campaign spokesman Rick Tyler to resign. What does this mean for the rest of the campaign? Well, let's talk about that right now with Bob Vander Plaats, the president and CEO of the Family Leader. Bob Skyping in from Iowa, where in part because he came out for Ted Cruz, helped the Texas senator on to victory back in the Iowa caucuses. Bob, thanks for making some time for us tonight here on Newsmax Prime.
Good evening, JD.
Let me ask you about reports that Rick Tyler is going to have to take a powder from the Cruz campaign. What have you heard about that and your reaction to that news?
Well, first of all, Rick Tyler is a professional. He did a great job for the Ted Cruz campaign. But you know campaigns as well as anybody, JD. They're fast-moving organisms, and Rick Tyler, tweeted out something he shouldn't have tweeted out. I think Ted Cruz has got such a high bar of integrity in this campaign that is probably in his best interest to say, Rick, you served me well, but I need you to resign right now. I know it was a mistake, but it's a mistake that needs to be held accountable for. And so I think it's now moving on and keeping the focus where the focus needs to be, and that is keeping Ted Cruz on message and letting him be able to communicate why he's the clear, principled conservative in this race.
Bob, it's very interesting. Donald Trump exultant last night in Atlanta. Donald talking about how well his campaign did in South Carolina, especially with evangelical voters. Let's listen to Mr. Trump and then get your reaction.
We won with everything. We won with women. I love the women. We won with women. We won with men. I'd rather win with women, to be honest, but that's all. We won with evangelicals, like unbelievable.
All right, so evangelicals, going to your home state, Iowa, and evangelicals, that put Ted Cruz on top. I'm just kind of curious now as this goes on to Nevada, because despite some perceptions, Las Vegas has a sizable evangelical community there around Clark County. What's going to happen out there in the caucuses tomorrow night?
Well, I'm not in the game of predicting what's going to happen in Nevada, especially being from Iowa, and I think it's a roll of the dice of what's going to happen in Nevada. But I think what Donald Trump is, he's benefiting right now from a divided field, and the field is starting to narrow now. And anytime that field narrows, all of our internals, all of our polling shows that Ted Cruz does much better when this field narrows. So I know a lot of people want to coordinate Donald Trump already as the nominee, but it's very early in the process. You need 1,237 delegates. I believe he has 61 at current count. So there's a long ways to go yet. And I think as this field narrows, it's going to be a real stark contrast between a true conservative and someone who's come to conservatism rather recently.
Bob, our Newsmax CEO Chris Ruddy says Trump may have more success on Super Tuesday due to what he's calling the Falwell factor, because that helped in South Carolina. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I don't know about that. And I'm not so sure what the Falwell factor is, because Falwell came out obviously well before Iowa took the vote. And the next time somebody comes up to me and says, well, I voted for Donald Trump because Jonathan Falwell Jr. told me to, or that Jonathan Falwell Jr. is endorsing him, JD, that'll be the first time that happens. So I don't know if there's a Falwell factor at all there. I think what it is that you got Rubio and Cruz and a few others that are still dividing that vote. And when you divide that vote, Trump is going to be able to rise up above that. So now it's got to be, the focus has got to be on Donald Trump. There's a lot of consternation, a lot of concern about Donald Trump being the nominee of our party. So that's where the focus needs to be now. And I think when the focus is there on Trump versus, say, a Cruz, I think Cruz will win that battle every time.
About 45 seconds for a response to this, Bob, and that is the fact that Senator Rubio barely edged out Senator Cruz in South Carolina, even with Rubio getting the endorsements of Governor Nikki Haley, Senator Tim Scott, and Congressman Trey Gowdy. Is that paradoxically reason for optimism for Ted Cruz and his campaign?
Well, there's a lot of optimism there, but I think it's also just a real clear, data point of Marco Rubio had all those endorsements, and still he came in a distant second and tied for second, basically. And so Ted Cruz has shown that he can defeat Donald Trump. He did in Iowa. I think when it becomes a one-on-one, a clear contrast, Ted Cruz is going to win that battle. So I'd say let's have conservatives coalesce, and let's start winning some of these states.
Fair enough. Bob Vander Plaats, tonight, Skyping in from Iowa, commenting on the conservative grassroots. We thank you for your time here on Newsmax Prime.
Thank you, JD.